Whew. I'm really curious to see what she looks like. You know, from actual human eyes. Something soft and slimy slides over to Koji's toes. Instinct completely overrides his will, forcing him to turn on his light and shine it at his feet. Ooh. Here we go. The white beam reveals everything, the merciless truth that finally shatters Koji's sanity. Terror wipes his mind of everything but two words: gun and trigger, looping endlessly through his head. His right index finger responds with absolute obedience. There is an instance of tremendous light and sound, both more intense than he expected, and the destructive forces are swallowed up by the darkness. His ears are still ringing from the bang, but he hears a weak voice coming from the shadows again. It hurts. I don't have to read that. Koji screams and desperately pulls the trigger again and again, believing that salvation can come only from his finger. Light and darkness, silence and explosion. They dance their dance 3 more times. Koji doesn't even need to aim, of course. His terrifying enemy is right at his feet, far too close to miss. Ryoko warned him about how many bullets were left in the revolver, but that information has already been driven from his mind. Even after the cold, heavy gloom wraps itself around him once more, Koji keeps pulling the trigger like a man possessed, paying no attention to the clicking of the empty, worthless revolver. Whew. As though his panic-stricken body has just realized how strange it is to be standing on 2 legs, Koji loses his balance and goes down hard on his backside. Still frightened out of his mind, he keeps firing the empty gun from a sitting position. He knows no other way to erase the memory of this thing he saw from the moment in the beam of his maglite. The light, which fell from his hand during the attack, is now lying on the floor, pointing in a complete different direction. All 4 bullets delivered by Koji's finger must have hit their target. Enough destruction to kill any human 4 times over. And they were his last card to play. Which means that he's now sitting in a room in pitch black darkness with no way to defend himself. And, just as he realizes this, a mass of cold, rotting flesh rolls onto him like a tidal wave. What? He can no longer even scream as he's pushed onto the back, with fear seizing his throat in its iron grip. Koji struggles desperately against the thing as it crawls up his body, towards his face. Covering his face with his left hand, he scrabbles wildly along the floor with his right, searching for a way out that doesn't exist. Oh man, Koji. Devoid of everything but primal fear, his mind has regressed to that of a feral animal. And that, perhaps, is why, when his right hand closes around something hard at the last moment, he is able to instinctively recognize it as a weapon. Putting every ounce of strength into his arm, Koji swings the heavy object in his hand at the creature on top of him. With the wet sound of a water cushion being struck with a blunt object, Koji's attacker rolls off of him. As soon as he's able to move freely, Koji leaps to his feet and grabs his new weapon with both hands, as though it's charmed to warm off evil. For the first time, he realizes that he's holding part of a rusty steel pipe. It's sobbing again. With a cry that's part terrified scream, part enraged roar, Koji raises the steel pipe and brings it crashing down on the cowering creature. He hears a wet sound and feels the blood-chilling sensation of its thick, soft flesh absorbing the blow. These combine to invoke a psychological loathing in him that wipes his mind of all but the urge to destroy. Consumed by the same desperation with which he kept firing the empty gun, Koji rains blow after blow down on his enemy. After the 10th blow, it stops sobbing. After the 20th blow, it stops moving. And after the 30th blow, it begins to feel and sound more and more like he's beating some vicious liquid. Koji doesn't stop thrashing the creature until he realizes, or rather, recovers enough of his mind to realize that whatever it might have been is no longer anything but a lifeless corpse. The pipe in his hand, covered with an identifiable fluid and filth, suddenly feels unbearably heavy. You still haven't seen the most damning part of all of this. Ryoko's voice played back in his mind. Now at last he definitely knows how merciful her warning was. Now that his eyes are opened as hers, he's able to laugh disdainfully at his own foolishness. The 20 years of memories that he built up as Tono Koji, if they were precious and dear to him, he should have never come to this place. The black flames of despair rise within him, consuming all other emotions. Unsatisfied, they keep burning until their uncontrollable heat sets his blood to boiling. Koji recognizes that heat as anger. Right now he is undeniably filled with hate and rage towards the person who poisoned him with the truth and tore his innocence out by the roots. And then Koji, slave to hate, hears the breathing of someone sneaking up behind him. Koji spins around, swinging his steel pipe with all the killing force he can muster. His enemy hastily leapt back to avoid the strike, apparently not having expected his surprise attack to be foiled by Koji's counter. Twisted shadows dance in the light of the maglite on the floor. Readying his pipe for the next blow, Koji faces off against his second attacker. Saka Fuminoi. Hang on, I need to take a sip. Koji never imagined that he would ever say his own friend's name with such hatred. Hey, that swing just now. You trying to kill me or something? Even now, Fuminori is smiling, as though the huge axe in his hand is some kind of joke. Damn, to be honest, I thought you'd hesitate a little more. You thought I'd hesitate against you? Koji sneers too, unable to contain his contempt for Fuminori's ridiculous notion. How did you kill Umi, you bastard? What did you do to Tsukuba? With all that you've done, you expect me to think twice about killing you? That's my line, Koji, Fuminori says in a low voice, looking sadly at the pile of meat that Koji just beat to death. How dare the likes of you do such a horrible thing to my Yo. You'll taste 10 times her pain before I kill you. Prepare yourself. The blade of Fuminoi's axe carves a murderous arc through the darkness, glittering menacingly in the faint light coming from the floor. Koji raises his pipe to block Fuminoi's brute force swing. This music just got kick-ass. The shock of the heavy impact shoots down his arms, but his large frame allows him to push the axe back without losing any ground. The axe comes howling down on Koji a second time, then a third. Fuminoi's weapon, designed for practical purposes, is significantly stronger and easier to use than that of a piece of pipe that Koji just happened to find on the floor. With his hands full protecting himself from Fuminoi's axe, Koji is unable to find an opportunity to counterattack. Each strike he blocks sends chunks of rust flying from his pipe. Son of a bitch! Koji blocks a crushing downward swing, then pushes back before Fuminori can pull his axe away, throwing him off balance. Stumbling backward, Fuminori plants his feet to regain his balance. Where the fuck is Ryoko right now? Taking advantage of his opponent's temporary immobility, Koji delivers a punishing low kick to Fuminori's outer thigh. Gah! Fuminori grunts and retreats, swinging his axe wildly to prevent Koji from following up with another attack. Koji, however, does not press his advantage. He just stands where he is, calmly spearing Fuminori with a stare. You haven't been in many fights, have you? Fuminori roars and comes in for another attack, but the damage to his right leg seems to be slowing his swing. Easily blocking the axe with his pipe, Koji waits for Fuminori to exhaust himself. Die! Die! Howling crazily, Fuminori delivers blow after heavy blow. However, the battle has already become one where composure, not brute force, decides the victor. When Fuminori raises his axe high for another attack, Koji sees that his movements have grown dull enough. Seizing the opportunity, Koji charges into Fuminori's range and grabs the haft of the axe with his left hand. As Fuminori recoils in fear, Koji brings his pipe crashing into his enemy's unprotected side. He feels the crunch of ribs breaking. Alright, Koji. The pain drives Fuminori to his knees. Staring down at Fuminori's defenseless head, Koji, surprised by his own lack of emotion, raises his pipe high to deliver a finishing blow. Which is when something wraps itself around his left ankle. Oh, fuck. What? The instant Koji panics at the unsuspecting sensation, something soft yet strong winds itself around his right leg and drags him to the floor before he can resist. He twists his body and tries to swing the steel pipe at the unseen enemy behind him, but his right hand, too, is seized by the same flexible force. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation thing. Oh god, these words running off to the side. He wasn't able to feel it through his pants, but now his blood turns to ice at the cold, slimy sensation of the thing wrapping around his uncovered wrist. That monster is still... That's it, Saya, Fuminori says encouragingly, even while kneeling on the floor, his face twisted with pain. He manages a terrible, victorious grin. Saya, this thing is... Koji struggles desperately, trying to free his limbs from the creature's horrifying grip. But more and more tentacles swarm over his body like snakes, stealing his freedom of movement. The horror has already driven Koji half mad. Just imagining the appearance of the creature attacking him is enough to threaten his sanity. His scream is suddenly cut off as a slimy appendage seizes his throat. This most deadly tentacle isn't just cutting off his breathing and circulation, it's trying to snap its neck. And it's squeezing tighter and tighter. I'm going to die. Just as that final thought enters his fading consciousness, a sudden explosion brings him back to his senses. Oh, what's the matter, you little slimy bitch? Did that hurt? With a horrifying, inhuman scream, the creature releases Koji and retracts its tentacles. The first thing he sees after regaining his mobility is Ryoko running down the hall with a smoking shotgun in her hand. Doctor! Ryoko responds by tossing the silver tube in her other hand to Koji, who's still lying on the floor. It's the thermos she showed him at the restaurant, the one that she called her secret weapon. Pour it on that thing! Ryoko shouts to Koji. At the same time, she aims her gun at Fuminori, who's still on his knees, about 5 paces away. The double-barreled shotgun... The double-barreled sawed-off hunting shotgun, which is a mouthful, still has 1 shot loaded. The monster that attacked Koji is writhing in agony, apparently still recovering from Ryoko's shot. He's already seen, however, that bullets aren't enough to kill these creatures. Now is his only chance. You! What are you doing? Gritting his teeth against the pain of his broken ribs, Fuminori glares at Koji and Ryoko. Forcing himself to be calm, Koji stands and carefully unscrews the lid of the thermos. There's no question in his mind that something extremely potent is inside. As soon as it's unsealed, a thick white mist pours out of the thermos, and the surrounding air suddenly becomes freezing cold. This is... Guessing what's inside, Koji ruthlessly throws the thermos at the pile of flesh convulsing on the floor. The thermos sails through the air, spewing white fog like a smoke grenade, its liquid contents spraying the creature crawling on the floor like a baptismal font. Sai is not having a good day. Its scream this time is literally a death cry, incomparable to before. Wreathed in white smoke, the monster thrashes in agony. Its screams are joined by Ryoko's cackling. How do you like that? Minus 197 degrees. Is it cold? Hot? Not so tough now, are you? To Ryoko, perhaps the joy of defeating her nightmare was worth sacrificing her sanity. The expression on her face as she laughs maniacally is clearly that of someone who's no longer in the right mind. Damn you! I'll kill you! Fuminori staggers to his feet, roaring black curses. His rage seems to have drowned out in the pain of his broken bones. Ryoko is not one to underestimate the threat poised by his axe. Her mad laughter fades away, leaving behind a cold smile as she pulls the trigger. With a short burst of dark flame, Ryoko's gun sputters and dies. Oh, fuck. Ryoko is not an expert on firearms. She never knew that a shotgun shells needed to be properly stored. In any case, she always expected that any situation where her gun would be necessary would also be the one she would not survive. Whew. Well, we have reached the death of Saya, perhaps? Maybe also Ryoko. Things are coming to a head. And this next chapter in our little story may be the very last. Okay, You had to wait a whole 24 hours. There's a lot of shit that happened last time. Hope you're still on suspense. Cursing in anger and dismay, Ryoko breaks the shotgun open and awkwardly pulls the dud out. Meanwhile, Fuminori stalks towards Ryoko like a vengeful demon, dragging the head of his axe along the floor. This is bad. Koji tries to charge at Fuminori, but only succeeds at sending himself sprawling again. One of his shoes is stuck to the floor, rendering him immobile. He realizes that the liquid nitrogen he poured on Saya has also frozen the floor around him. As Ryoko fumbles in her pocket for a new shell, Fuminori closes the distance and raises his axe in both hands. Damn! Koji curses and rips his shoe free from the frozen concrete, but he won't be able to make it to them in time. Ryoko thrusts a new shell into the chamber of her shotgun and snaps it closed, then will look up to find the target. Fuminori is right above her, too close to evade, and his axe is already crashing down upon her with the wind howling in its wake. Stop! That wasn't a good sound. The sound of bones shattering, tendons snapping, and the flesh tearing blend together in a foul harmony. The thick blade has entered through Ryoko's left shoulder, plowing through her collarbone and shoulder blade, smashing several ribs, and popping her lung like a balloon before stopping in the center of her chest. Oh God, she was my favorite. Her expression frozen in shock by the impact, Ryoko sprays a geyser of blood from her mouth. She should have died instantly, but through some unimaginable force of will, Ryoko clings to life for a few seconds more. Grinning through her blood-stained lips, she raises her shotgun. Not to the front, but to the side. Beyond the barrel of her shotgun, half of its body wearing the 73-degree Kelvin mist like a white cloak of death, is the weakly wriggling Saya? What? No! The 12-gauge shotgun drowns out Fuminori's scream in a thunderous explosion of light and sound far more powerful than that of Koji's revolver. The destruction is absolute. The impact of the shotgun pellets completely blow away part of Saya's body that fell prey to the liquid nitrogen. The frozen particle of Saya's shattered flesh drift to the floor like snow. Even Saya's special biology is insufficient to seal a wound of this size. Nearly half of her body is gone. From the opening pore of her innards, a tide of liquid slime and fat, whose color is far too foul to belong to any living creature. The monster convulses, wailing in a weak, pitiful voice. Saya. Don't have to read that. With his axe still buried in Ryoko's body, Fuminori stares at the dying creature, his expression utterly devoid of emotions. Koji grabs his pipe and prepares to attack Fuminori from behind, but freezes when he sees the emptiness on the face of the man he's hated. But freezes when he sees the emptiness on the face of the man he'd hated as a murderer. Fuminori pulls his axe out of Ryoko's corpse, then looks at Koji with glazed eyes, as though he doesn't recognize who he is. When Koji meets Fuminori's blank stare, he knows there is no longer anything left in Fuminori to kill. Fuminori grips the axe closer to its head and raises it high, the blade pointing at his face. Koji doesn't know whether or not he should interfere, but even if he wanted to, what could he say to stop Fuminori? Fuminori pulls his head back slowly, yet surely, then drives his face into the blade of the axe, like a spring-loaded toy. Crunch! His skull caves with a dull, wet sound, and the spray of blood catches Koji in the face. Despite Fuminori's complete lack of hesitation, his first attempt at suicide only succeeded in transforming his face into a piece of crimson art. Fuminori pulls his head back one more time, even slower than before, then with every ounce of strength left in his body, slams it into the blood-stained axe. The sound is wetter than before. Oh god. Like a marionette with its strings cut, Fuminori tumbles face first to the floor. Koji stares at the two mangled corpses for a while, feeling completely left behind. Like he doesn't even know why he's standing in this place, with a steel pipe in his hand. The still air filling the ruined building becomes choked with the stench of blood, and the crimson puddles gradually spread across the snow-covered floor. Yet the tranquility of the scene makes it seem like a painting. A soft slimy sound breaks the silence. Koji looks at the mortally wounded monster, as though just remembering that it's there. The creature is clearly on death's door. Even so, it moves slowly, feebly. It drags its broken body through the sea of blood covering the floor. It's coming for Fuminori. Koji had forgotten his anger, but now it comes surging back at full force. Die. Koji growls and stabs the monster with the end of the steel pipe. It convulses in agony, but keeps crawling towards Fuminori. Oh god. Fuck. Koji explodes in a frenzy of rage. Die. Just die already. Stay the hell away from Fuminori. God damn it. Fuck. Again and again. He smashes the helpless flesh beast with his pipe. For some reason, he is convinced that if he doesn't stop it here, he will have truly lost. The monster, however, never succumbs to Koji's beating, and finally reaches Fuminori's corpse. Don't touch him! Don't touch Fuminori! Damn you! Who the hell do you think you are? On the verge of tears, Koji continues to swing his pipe furiously. The monster's slimy fluids fly through the air, joining with the blood already covering his face. The creature extends one thin, trembling tentacle to touch Fuminori's shoulder, then lovingly caresses his blood-stained cheek. And then, it stops moving. Even in its final moments, the monster would not let go of Fuminori. It died, joined with him. At last, Koji knows that he has lost everything, forever. God damn it. Why is this fucking me up? I wanted that to happen. Hey, Umi said enthusiastically, the exposed bones of her face clattering. Why don't we go somewhere with skating for this year's ski trip? Chunks of her body are missing, as though something's been nibbling on her. It makes her look a lot thinner. She's been worried about her weight recently, but now she shouldn't need to diet. Okay, what? What the fuck is going on? Haha. Fuminori laughs at Umi's crazy suggestion. That's right. You just started skating recently, didn't you? What the fuck? He sounds amused, but it's hard to tell from his expression, since his face has been cleaved in two by an axe. Oh shit. Koji's lost his shit, hasn't he? Or is he the new Fuminori? I don't think there's many first-time skaters. Oh shit. I don't think there's many first-time skaters in their 20s these days. I was kinda scared when I was little. Those shoes seem like knives to me. Yeah, I know. If someone kicked you in the face with those shoes on, you'd probably end up like me. Omi and Yo laugh at Fuminori's dumb joke. Yo never used to laugh with such exuberance. Now that she and Fuminori are officially lovers, she seems truly happy. But you were able to kill him on your first try? That's amazing, Omi-chan. It's not very different from swinging a baseball bat, after all. You swing hard and let the weight of the axe do the damage. What? That's what Fuminori said, so I took his word for it and gave killing him a try, and it was fun. What is this strange feeling? Something is wrong, though Koji can't put his finger on exactly what. I wanted to see Omi-chan being eaten too. Ah, that's it. When he sees Yo's envious smile, Koji finally realizes what's wrong. Hey, Tsukuba. Huh? What's wrong, Koji-kun? Why are you the only one who's normal? Yo tilts her head quizzically, like she doesn't understand what he means. Normal? I'm always normal. But back then, you were... Oh, I get it. Yo nods in understanding. You're talking about when I looked different than you. That was such a long time ago. It was? Of course, she replies, deflecting Koji's confusion with an uncannily cheerful smile. Wait, what? The fuck? Did he get turned when she was crawling on him? After all, you're one of us now. Oh, of course. Koji looks down and is satisfied to see wriggling tentacles where his arms and legs used to be. When he opens his eyes, his pillow and mattress are soaked in sweat. Oh, okay. Whew. It's always the same nightmare. He doesn't know how many times he's seen it, but at least he's not leaping out of bed screaming anymore. Clutching his throbbing head, Koji sits up in bed. It's 4 in the morning. He hasn't had nearly enough rest, but he probably won't be able to get back to sleep tonight. Anyway, it's time for a smoke. A full pack will last him until dawn. Now where did he put that pack he bought yesterday? Koji wanders sleepily into the den, where yet another old friend is waiting for him. You look like hell. Seriously. Okay, now I'm back to not knowing what the fuck's happening. Oh, Doctor. You're here too. Ryoko's chopped-up corpse is sitting at his dining table, looking as deathly pale as ever as she sips coffee from a mug. You suffer every night, don't you? I bet you're not getting enough sleep. It's not always like this, Koji says amicably, as he sits down across from her. If I take some medicine, it usually helps. For now. Hallucinations like these are easier to deal with than the elaborate nightmares like the one he just had. They should probably worry him more, though. If you'd listened to my warnings back then, you wouldn't be such bad shape now. Let's stop talking about that. What's done is done. Ryoko chuckles, smiling the same cruel, manic smile that she used to when she was alive. Her left arm hangs from her half-severed shoulder, dangling like a forgotten wind chime. I see. Looks like you've come to terms with it. You were the same, weren't you? You managed to live as an elite neurosurgeon most of the time, after all. If you're just keeping up a facade, it's not that hard. The Krupp shrugs her shoulders, her intact right shoulder, that is, and grimaces in disgust as she takes another sip of her coffee. But it's probably only going to get worse, you know. Time heals emotional wounds, but with you, it's more like you've been poisoned. She's probably right. Everyone dreams at night. No matter how dim the memories may get, the nightmares will always be there to tear into Koji with fresh fangs. The insanity of what has taken root in his heart will grow, eventually consuming everything that's left inside of him. In my case, I've had you to learn from. I'm ready for anything. Oh? Really? Koji nods, smiling confidently, then stands and walks into the bathroom. Oh my fucking god. where he retrieves the weapon he keeps hidden behind a mirror. It's Ogi's revolver, the one souvenir that Koji brought back from the other world that night. It was a lot of trouble, but I finally found someone who deals in these things. I bought bullets for it. Can you believe that ammunition is more expensive than the gun itself? How about that? In the mirror, Koji sees Ryoko with her axe-inflicted gash reversed. She raises her mug as though to toast Koji's resourcefulness. So, how many shots did you buy? Fuck. Just one. This time it's Koji who shrugs his shoulders. He uses both, exercising his privilege as a survivor. You see, I never want to be in a situation where I'll need it more. Oh? The corpse in the mirror nods, seeming strangely reserved. You really do get it, Tono-kun. There's a brief silence. Koji doesn't really feel like getting any more melancholy with a corpse. Hey, doctor. Let's give the diner coffee a rest. If you want, I'll put on a new pot of... When Koji turns around, halfway through his sentence, he realizes that the dining room is empty, but for the silence of the night. And so, Koji finally returns to the world of the sane. He lights his first cigarette of the night and takes a deep drag. While sitting alone in his den, puffing on his smoke, he stares at the gun in his hand. He knows just how precarious a cliff he's standing on. The final line that Ryoko spoke of is now one step behind him. Having finally crossed that line, Koji no longer has anything to protect his soul. Now that Oge Mashiko's delusions and Tembo Ryoko's paranoia have all become tangible horrors, he knows what insanity and despair truly are. Even in the real world, Sakasaka Fuminori is already wanted for several gruesome murders. It didn't take long for someone to discover the stockpiles of human meat in the empty Sakasaka and Suzumi houses. In 2 refrigerators were found the remains of Suzumi Yosaki, his wife and daughter, and Takahata Umi. They found the clothes and other effects of Tsukuba Yo, but weren't able to locate any trace of her among the various body parts, a fact that made Koji's nightmares all the more vivid. Dr. Tembo Ryoko of the T University Hospital mysteriously vanished at the same time. Because she was Fuminori's chief physician, the police have been investigating her connection to the crimes. As for the 2 corpses secretly buried in the backyard of a certain ruin, well, they'll probably never be found. This incident will just become another cold case. Koji alone knows what really happened, and he has no intention of revealing it. Not now, not ever. Ogi's writings were not nonsense, which means that everything else was. What fool was it who said that men are the lords of creation? Those who believe in the worth of meaningless things like human wisdom and valor are those lucky people who have not looked into the abyss. Koji no longer has any common grounds with those... Shit. Oh, God, this is ripping me up. With those who are blessed with such ignorance and innocence. He knows he has been defiled by the insanity called truth, and he will never be able to believe again. If he has been poisoned, then that poison is none other than the truth itself. Just as pure oxygen is harmful to the body, the naked truth has the power to destroy men's minds. Oxygen only becomes air when combined with 5 times much nitrogen. Truth is the same. Only by diluting it with lies and taken in small doses can humans maintain a healthy soul. No matter how unimaginably insane the world might become, words once spoken by the living Tenbo Ryoko passed through Koji's mind. I had some choice other than just running and screaming. Without a doubt, that was the comfort that she kept hidden in her bosom, the only thing that allowed her to face her dreams each night. Koji had taken his predecessor's lessons of heart. Of course he's prepared. One bullet's always behind the bathroom mirror, promising him salvation. Wow. Wow. What a ride. Fuminori and Saya were horrible people. Saya not being a person at all. Fuminori being entirely human. I can't get behind what they did. I can't support that. But the fact of the matter remains that Fuminori loved her, and she loved him. It goes to show that no one should be denied love. Nobody. Not even them. And what they had was real. That was real love. And in the end, it really, really showed. Koji is a soldier. I didn't care much for him at the beginning of this story. But there at the end, he was a fucking champ. Same for Ryoko. At the beginning of this, you couldn't tell what her agenda was. But as it went on, you knew what she was about. Chasing after Ogi drove her crazy, as it would with anybody else, me especially. The things that she read and the things that she witnessed that man do, it destroyed her and it drove her mad. But she did what she set out to do. She died doing it, but she finished her mission in life. This was a great fucking story. This is probably the best visual novel I've ever read. Even better than Kojo. Or, fuck it, I've already fucked that up. You know what I'm talking about, though. That was an amazing experience. And I thank all of you for joining me on it. Fuck.